You are on the John Fredericks Radio Network. We're live in Atlanta. Your Godzilla of the Truth right here. Now, the following is a message from America First Policies. America First means protecting the national security interest of America from any and all threats. Now, including one of the world's greatest threats, North Korea. Thanks to the unrelenting resolve of President Trump, the doctrine of strategic patience is over. And for the first time in history, a North Korean dictator has been forced to the negotiating table. And the pressure is going to continue. U.S. sanctions will continue to dry out the regime's funding. Military exercises with our allies are going to go on as scheduled. And most importantly, military options are in place to deal with the murderous regime if necessary. Now, to learn more about national security and America First Policies, a nonprofit organization supporting key policy initiatives that will work for all citizens in our country and put America first, go to americafirstpolicies.org. That's americafirstpolicies.org. This message is paid for and authorized by America First Policies Incorporated. Joining us now live in North Dakota, Curtis Ellis. Curtis, you're so far yet so near.
That's it. I am way out west, way up north. It is beautiful here. There's snow on the ground, but not a lot of it. And the excitement is building as Vice President Pence will be arriving later today. It's just palpable. The excitement is palpable here in Fargo.
Hey, while I've got you on the air, because I'm going to type this in right now, what is your Twitter handle?
America First POL. America First POL. That is where you find America First Policies on Twitter. We're tweeting away, baby. It's I'll tell you, these tax cut events tax cuts to put America First tour that we're on has been a tremendous success. Learning all kinds of things. Today we're going to have Senator John Hoeven on the panel, and we're going to have a fellow from the Economic Development Corporation here, and it's good, and somebody from a local sporting goods company that's actually their company's giving tax cut bonuses, giving bonuses to all their employees. I heard when I was in Atlanta last week, heard a story of a 14-year-old who wrote a thank you letter to his congressman. He said, "Thanks for passing this tax cut. My parents, because of this, they got more money because of the standard deduction doubling. They are now letting me take flying lessons. My dream is to be a pilot, and thanks to the tax cut, I am now starting to realize that dream. You only have to be 14 to take flying lessons in Georgia, I guess." He's taken flying lessons, and he's looking into how to apply to the Air Force Academy. So it's a great, inspiring story of what happens when you let people fulfill their dreams and instead of waiting for the government to do it for you.
No, you're absolutely right, Curtis Ellis, Senior Policy Advisor, America First Policies, the #1 political action committee that supports the agenda to make America great again and put America first. Curtis, let's get to your column the other day on WND where you said the fourth piece of Trumponomics. You want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, President Trump, when he was running for president, and since then, he has written about and talked about the four legs of Trumponomics: tax cuts, trade reform, regulatory reform, and energy reform. You put these four together, and the sum is greater, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. You put these four things together, and you'll get the economy taken off. And by cutting taxes, you're not penalizing companies for being here. By having trade reform, you're not rewarding companies for moving overseas. Because right now, they pay high taxes, or, well, before the tax cuts came into effect, they paid high taxes for being in America, but they could go somewhere else, make their goods over there, and bring them into the country tax-free. That's just stupid. And the regulatory reform, the regulations had the same effect of taxes, just punishing companies that decided to make things in America. Why do that? You can make them in China where you can just dump your garbage in the river or spew your poisons in the air. No smokestacks scrubbers, no water pollution regulations, no Social Security or any of that nonsense either, and bring it back into the country tax-free. But you got all the regulations here and none there. And look, there's some good regulations, but there's a whole lot of useless regulations. I tell you, having seen it up close, you get these guys waking up in the morning, down in these bureaucrats, they wake up in the morning and say, gee, what regulation can I dream up today? They don't think, well, do we need one? They absolutely need more regulations because that's more work for them, and they might get a pay raise. And then the final piece of the puzzle is the energy reform. Industrial society, modern society depends on energy. And we've got a whole lot of energy in this country. If we're disallowed, if we can get to it and use it, extract it and use it, we have an advantage over the rest of the world. And by the way, the energy reform and particularly the regulatory reform fits in with the whole infrastructure bit. So that's maybe the fifth leg, which I didn't write about, but infrastructure. A big part of the president's infrastructure plan is fixing the permitting process. The critics say, well, he's not putting enough money into this infrastructure plan he has. By streamlining the regulations, it takes 25 years to get a permit to build a project. That's worth that's worth several $1 billion right there. So
no question
anyway,
about it.
The four legs of Trumponomics: tax reform, trade reform, regulatory reform, energy reform. You put them all together, and it's a quadruple whammy that'll really get things going, and we'll have growth in jobs and higher wages, and it's really just common sense. It makes sense, and it's starting to work already.
Yeah, it's all working, and the economy, it keeps growing. But what about Stormy Daniels?
Oh, yeah, right. Stormy Daniels. What about her? Nobody cares about her. Oh, and by the way, the other thing that I wrote in the column is that the regulatory reform, the energy reform, there is one piece of the energy puzzle that they need to fix the regulations around. Another piece of it is the renewable fuel standard. Look, you can be for ethanol or against ethanol. That's a separate discussion. But even the people that are for using ethanol, that stuff made from corn, even the people who are for ethanol agree that the government regulation system around it is just counterproductive. It just doesn't work. The government bureaucrats created this system of paper credit. It's like a cap and trade system where you trade ethanol credit. So when you set up a paper trading system, guess who benefits? It's called Wall Street. So you got the big banks have managed to insert themselves in the process, and they've been speculating and trading these little chits, and they've been making a fortune. But the actual people who have to make the fuel that we put in our vehicles or put in our cars and homes, our home heating oil, they're being driven into bankruptcy because of the high cost of these paper ethanol credits. It's just ridiculous. So fixing that is going to mean more jobs, going to mean more energy, it's going to mean less burdensome regulation, and it's going to actually could increase exports and help our trade situation too. But you know what? Stormy Daniels is a far more interesting subject for CNN to be talking about.
Exactly. That's my point exactly. I mean, I had it on, I got to tell you, Curtis, I had it on the TV like I always do with the sound off. And so once in a while if we do a break, I'll put it on. And every time I looked up and put the sound on at 6, 7 a.m., Cuomo was talking about Stormy Daniels. I mean, this has been like nonstop coverage. And, like, there's no news here. It's like, who cares? It doesn't matter. Unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, I think
people figured out a long time ago that Donald Trump is not he ain't no choir boy.
You know what?
He denies that this happened, but it's basically, who cares?
That's right. Who cares?
cares?
And the hypocrisy of it, Curtis. I mean, did you see this kind of coverage for Jennifer Flowers or Paula Jones or Juanita Broderick or Kathleen Willey or any of the people that Teddy Kennedy bonked? I mean, you wouldn't, if they covered everyone that Teddy Kennedy had, there wouldn't be time for news, right?
Well, that's right. That's right. I mean, it's really pathetic. It's really a sad commentary that these so-called self-styled prestigious news organizations have lowered themselves to this tabloid, this stuff that really has its place on the supermarket checkout line. And they actually did, the supermarket tabloids do a better job.
They do.
Because
I was just going to say that.
They acknowledge right up front, hey, this is titillating. Let's talk about, the naughty bits.
Yeah, no, they do a better job.
On TV, they try to make it sound like this is very important that we know about this. You look, Anderson Cooper. I mean, he's got a lot of nerve, I'll tell you. Or he has got a blind spot is what he has. Why is he doing this moral preening? He should know better. It wasn't that many years ago that his very existence would have been called immoral. So why is he now passing judgment on somebody else's morality? He should know better.
You know, Curtis, as I always say, I don't judge lest I be judged, right? I got enough issues without judging what somebody else does. But it's pretty amazing to watch this. It's just like, I guess there's no Russia collusion, so now they're on to whether or not he put a condom on. I mean, it's pretty incredible. I mean,
meanwhile, we've got this whole business with China, the China tariffs. They just gloss right over that. What that is the president has said we are in an economic war. We have another country that is out to crush us, and they're using economics instead of missiles. 60,000 factories have been closed in America. China couldn't have done a better job if they carpet bombed the Midwest. 60,000 factories are just as defunct as if they were blown up under a rain of bombs. And the reason he's putting tariffs on there is not because, for some foolish reason. It's because, as it was laid out in the national security strategy, we are under attack by a determined enemy that is stealing, robbing, cheating, doing everything we've talked about with the American Jobs Alliance for a dozen years. We now have a president who's sounded the alarm, but they don't want to talk about that. The American people need to understand these things. They don't need to understand whether a condom was used or not. That does not really impact the future of our country.
Mm-hmm. I tell you what, spot on, Curtis. Agree with you 100%. We're out of time for this segment. I want to thank you for being with us. Curtis Ellis, Key Senior Policy Advisor, America First Policies, live today in Fargo, North Dakota.